this time, the state of West Virginia would like to call Dr. Tori Tyree. Dr. Tyree, you've been duly sworn. Can you please state your name for the record?
Tori E. Tyree, T-Y-R-E-E.
And Dr. Tyree, you're a licensed medical doctor in the state of West Virginia.
That is correct.
And how long have you maintained your license as a medical doctor in the state of West Virginia?
I've had a medical license for 4 years.
And could you briefly go over your educational background, starting with your undergraduate career?
Yes, I got a Bachelor's of Science in Forensics Chemistry at Marshall University with a minors in Chemistry and Biology. I got a Master's of Science in Forensic Science at Marshall University, as well as getting my Doctor of Medicine at Marshall University School of Medicine with a concentration in General Pathology and Forensic Pathology.
Understanding that your career includes not only a Bachelor's of Science, a Master's of Science in Forensic Science, and a Doctor of Medicine, at the undergraduate level, could you briefly discuss the relevant coursework that you would have taken that aided you in your professional career?
Yes, during my undergraduate degree, I took general chemistry, organic chemistry, biochemistry, analytical chemistry, physical chemistry, as well as microbiology, genetics, molecular biology, statistics, forensic science, introduction to research, criminal procedure, crime scene investigation, and introduction to law enforcement.
And in regards to your master's program, can you briefly discuss any areas of concentration in which you would have emphasized in?
Yes, during my master's program, I emphasized in DNA analysis, digital forensics, forensic chemistry, as well as crime scene investigation.
And in regards to your medical school, could you briefly discuss any areas of specialization or concentration?
Yes, while I received my Doctor's of Medicine at Marshall University School of Medicine, I concentrated in general pathology as well as forensic pathology.
Your Honor, at this time we would ask that Dr. Tyree be certified as an expert in the field of forensic pathology and be allowed to offer her opinion in that particular field.
So ordered.
Thank you. Dr. Tyree, I would like to turn your attention to previously what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2. Are you familiar with that document?
Yes, I am.
And that document bears the title of what?
Report of Death Investigation and Post-Mortem Examination Findings.
And is this a report that is authored in the course of your profession?
Yes, it is.
And just by way of review, in regards to this report, I believe that you have 10 pages, the first page being the title page and proceeding accordingly.
Yes, that is correct.
And included in this report is also a diagram. Would that be correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And did you author the diagram that is used in this report?
Yes, I did.
And is this something that, again, that you normally do in the course of your profession?
Yes, it is. It is part of an autopsy.
Turning your attention to what's been previously marked for purposes of identification and entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 2, could you describe when you would have received the body in this particular manner?
Yes, the body was received May 28, 2019 at 10:08 a.m.
And do you have a date of death?
Yes, the date of death was May 28, 2019. It was pronounced at 1:37 a.m.
And do you have a date and time in which you would have started your forensic examination of the body?
Yes, the examination commenced at 11:10 a.m.
Turning your attention to page 2 of your report, could you briefly go over how the body was identified?
Yes, the body was that of a well-preserved, well-nourished adult male. Stated age was 28 years. The body measured 70 inches in length and approximately 153 pounds.
And turning your attention to page 3 of your report, did you note any type of possible wounds that the body would have received?
Yes, there was a gunshot wound to the left mid-back which perforated his heart.
And then we're still talking about the same individual identified as Charles, also known as Charlie Brown?
Yes, that is correct.
You mentioned a wound, using your diagram that was included as part of your report. Could you highlight and disclose to the jury the exact location in which the wound was observed?
Yes, the entrance wound was around perforation on the left mid-back, about 1/4 inch in diameter.
And is this the type of wound that would normally lead to death?
Yes, it could lead to death since this perforated his heart.
And when you say it perforated his heart, is that something that's documented in your report under what's referred to as the path of the projectile?
Yes, that is correct.
And could you briefly discuss to the jury the path of this particular projectile?
Yes, it perforated the skin over the left mid-back and the underlying skin tissue, the left posterior 9th intercostal muscle, and the left 10th rib bone, as well as the middle portion of the left lung, left ventricle wall of the heart, and lodged into the left anterior 4th intercostal muscle. That is where the bullet was recovered.
So this would have been a situation where the individual would have been shot mid-back, and the bullet would have basically transversed either diagonal at a slight upward angle or straight, depending on the approach of the bullet.
Yes, that is correct.
Were you able to determine whether this was a close range, intermediate range, or long distance shot? I believe that is referenced on page 3 of your report under the entrance wound again.
Yes, there was no muzzle imprint, soot deposition, or gunpowder stippling on the surrounding skin. Therefore, we concluded it was not a close range.
Turning our attention to what is contained in the findings section of your report, page 7, could you briefly discuss to the jury, or with the jury rather, the findings that you were able to opine in this particular matter?
Yes, my findings concluded that there was a gunshot wound to the left mid-back with perforation of the heart. The entrance was the left mid-back. It hit the underlying skin tissue, left posterior 9th intercostal muscle, as well as the left posterior 10th rib, middle portion of the left lung, and left ventricle of the heart. That is where the bullet was recovered. There was no exit wound. The trajectory was back to front and upward. The recovery was the copper collar jacketed bullet from the left anterior 4th intercostal muscle.
And turning our attention to page 9, which lists your opinion in this particular matter, were you able to reach an opinion in this particular forensic pathology evaluation?
Yes, based on my expert opinion, Charlie Brown was a 28-year-old man who died as a result of a single gunshot wound to the left mid-back that perforated his heart after being shot by another person. There was no evidence of close range gunshot due to the gunpowder found on the skin. There was a copper collar jacketed bullet core. 6 triangular shaped trocar pieces were recovered during the autopsy.
Were you able to determine whether Charlie Brown was under the influence of any substance that may have affected his ability to function during this particular incident?
Yes, we were. Based on my conclusion, Charlie Brown had cannabinoid metabolites, which is marijuana, and ethanol, which is alcohol, in his blood at the time of death.
And were you able to determine a manner of death?
Yes, the manner of death was indicated as homicide.
Your Honor, at this time I have no further questions for Dr. Tyree.
All right, the witness may be excused.